Set your butane torches to high and your expectations to low. Coming to you live from Just the Tip Cigars in the hills of the Steel City. Get ready to get your fix. This is the Cigar Junkies Podcast. Welcome to the Cigar Junkies Podcast, a cigar show for the community by the community. A forum that talks stogies, booze, food, and anything else in the cigar lifestyle. If you're looking for ratings, negativity, reviews, or an authority on all things cigars, you came to the wrong place. Whether you like what you hear or not, please join the conversation and let us know by finding us at the Cigar Junkies Facebook group or emailing us at thecigarjunkies@gmail.com.
What's up, junkies?
I'm Corey.
I'm Sam.
I'm Jason this time.
And we're the Cigar Junkies, and you could be one too. Here's how you do it. You go to our website. You check out our media. You grab some swag. You like, you subscribe, you share on every platform. And then you do it some more. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm for them.
For what?
Yes. For them doing
let's find out what we're smoking today from Just the Tip Cigars.
So let's find out.
It's time for the Cigar of the Week, brought to you by Just the Tip Cigars. Are you looking for the best selection of boutique cigars? Do you want the tried and true legacy brands that are synonymous with the cigar lifestyle? Do you want luxurious cutters, lighters, and other accessories? Do you want to relax in the most comfortable cigar lounge in the burg? Then you want Just the Tip Cigars. Conveniently located in the Bavarian Village Shopping Center in South Park, Pennsylvania, Just the Tip Cigars has been tailor-built to your smoking needs. Whether you visit in person or on the web at justthetipcigars.com, when it comes to cigars, Just the Tip is the whole package. That's right, it is the whole package, and you can have the whole package too. If you come over to Bavarian Village in South Park, you can come to the one and only Just the Tip Cigars, and you can hang out with crotchety, middle-aged men, just like we're doing here. It's more fun than it looks.
You make it sound so enticing.
Sometimes. Here's the thing, man. I've given myself the slaps. I need something today. I need something, and I can't have tequila today. So what do you want from me, man?
I'm sorry,
I'm doing what I could do.
If I had boobies, I'd show them to you.
That's the nicest thing anybody's ever said to me.
Of course, Jay had to ruin it by showing his instead.
Those are not.
But yeah,
great.
if I had boobies, I'd show them to you.
Somebody get this kid a bro or a man's ear.
Right.
We are smoking the Veritas 412. This is the 6x54 Toro. This comes to us from Chris Weber. If you don't know who that is, but you're from the area, you probably know his work, right? Because what else does he make?
The Torch lineup, the 3 blends, the Veritas, and Leaning House Cigars.
There you go. That's what I was trying to get to. That's the Pittsburgh area related one. And this one is too. First of all, it is a Pennsylvania broadleaf wrapper, San Andreas binder, and filler from PA, Esteli, and Condega. The 412 is named after the area code for Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, which is considered the birthplace of the industrial age in the United States. Boom, boom. Pittsburgh is also the childhood hometown of Chris Weber, the chairman of Veritas Cigar Company. Veritas is Latin for truth without fear, which I've never experienced personally. I'm always terrified to tell the truth.
The whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I mean, it's not an appealing concept.
I've learned it works way better when I do.
The truth
Yeah, but it's
sets
so
you free,
scary.
brother.
I don't have to keep track of
Telling the
things.
truth is the scariest ride in life. You know what I mean?
Never mind.
That is the motto from Weber's High School. It's also the driving edict behind the Veritas Cigar Company.
Okay.
Thoughts? Anything? No. Cool.
So I don't know if, because like cigar brands pass hands more often than people realize, I think. So like,
it's accurate.
Like
things are not made by the same people forever.
No.
And it's funny because customers usually get it wrong, right? They think, oh, this cigar ain't what it used to be. They're making it out of something else. Somebody has it somewhere. Either A, what you're into has changed. B, the harvest changed.
Right.
Those are the two most common things. But occasionally, actually very frequently, the cigar does go to a different factory.
Yeah.
And generally, those people just stay on that bandwagon and never notice.
Yeah, there's a lot of cigars that change, often that, they keep them as close as they can. But, I respect like Roma Craft. They got the new Cro-Magnon's going to be wow, my brain just stopped. It just completely stopped. It's switching over to a PA broadleaf.
Your brain? That's interesting.
Yeah. No,
that's actually pretty cool, really.
Yeah, it's switching over to a PA broadleaf because they weren't able to get the yield of the Connecticut broadleaf that they were using.
All right.
So, you know,
Well, Connecticut too has become very tough. Like the value of the land in Connecticut in the River Valley is real estate now. Right?
Yeah.
That real estate value has way higher returns than tobacco. So what happens is there's less and less tobacco for everybody to get every year, and a lot of it is taken up by crap that we wouldn't generally smoke.
yeah.
And so there's less and less for the premium industry. So I've heard other big cigar people all the time go like, I don't know how all these people keep coming out with broadleaf stuff when there's less and less.
There's less broadleaf, yeah.
every year. So like something's off.
Yeah, something's going on. But like with Connecticut, you know, shade wrapper, you know, most of that is grown in Ecuador now. And like they had a terrible rainy season last year. So for the next 2-3 years,
Bless the rains
it's going to be a pain to get that.
Shout out, good morning to Mr. Keith Kilburn.
What's up,
Up in the
buddy?
Dakotas. I'm going to do something really strange for this show. I'm going to talk about this cigar because it is a really, really nice, full forward. Like as soon as you light it, you're on that ride, man. And I appreciate that about this cigar because it has some flavor intensity straight out of the gate. And I usually am not like ride or die until a little further in.
Yeah,
But
until you
this
actually
is-
get somewhere.
This is a great experience so far.
Yeah, this is one that I picked just because I wanted to smoke it.
Mm.
Like, just wanted it on the show. You got the dud?
I got the dud.
Hey, your turn, mofo. So you're gonna have to do one of two things, Sam, because I'm surpassing you here. So you're either gonna have to bring your volume up, or stay in the microphone, or slap yourself in the face. It worked for me.
I mean, maybe just bring me up because I thought I was staying in the mic.
There is
pretty
no
good this
bringing
time.
you up.
You're
because-
fine, dude.
Well, your volume is your.
Oh, you
your-
mean my energy?
Maybe
Oh.
it could be your volume and your energy are linked. It's cyclical. It's synergy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, you don't. You're just distracted by your cigar because I'm just spouting off crap
Yeah, it happens.
most of the time.
So my cigar,
You should be good now. I think I got it.
was drawing like dog doo doo. I could not get it to produce any smoke.
He
However,
prefers people to
Let's
do.
see if I got it right, or if I'm
We'll
right
see.
or not. See if it opened up at all for you. It looks better. Still not as much as you want, though. The smoke production's not there.
Your volume's low. Like your next to me volume, not your through the
Oh,
speaker
okay.
volume. Like
Yeah,
I'm
that's
sitting right
the
here.
thing.
I
Since
can't-
we switched from
Yeah,
headphones, man, it makes it tough to actually just like hear what we're saying.
It's way worse whenever it's just two of us because we're sitting across the table
Just
from each other with all of the stuff going on,
Yeah.
all of the computer noise, and everything else going on, and it makes it a little bit difficult.
Yeah.
So yeah, particularly when I wear the headphones because I can hear you, but you cannot hear me, and I can't tell because I'm in here talking like
Which is
this.
why
It's
Jay's good
okay.
for that because he's just loud.
Loud,
So
yeah.
it doesn't matter. It just carries.
So look at them knees.
What?
I can see his knee up over the table on
Oh.
this side. I didn't know there was a
He's
tattoo
comfy.
on
He's
that-
kicking
on your
back and-
thigh.
you didn't know I had a tattoo on my leg?
On your thigh, nuh-uh.
Do you have a mid thigh tattoo? I do. Of course you do. Of
That's
course you
A
do.
tribal face hugger meets Deadpool.
I did it myself.
It shows.
Yeah, I did it myself.
Every
Can
tattoo
you
artist
tell
I
us
know
what
has like
it's
that
supposed to
covered.
be.
Huh?
Can you tell us what it is or what it's supposed to
It
be?
was just a tribal design. I picked off the flash that I was like, I want something on my thigh. That
the
I can see
flash.
Flash strip.
The
Like
flash.
the flash. It's a flash art.
Yeah, that's what they call when you walk into a tattoo parlor and you're looking on the wall
Okay.
at all those like tattoos. Those are called flashes.
Yeah.
That's way less interesting than what I thought happened. I thought Barry Allen was like, "Yo, this is the
Yo.
one for you, buddy," and you were like, "All right, Flash, let's go."
Next week's show, I'll be able to show off my new tattoo.
Part of it.
Ooh. Uh-oh.
Part of it, yeah.
You getting your
and
line
I'll be
work?
able to do that sometime soon as well.
Yeah.
After Sam
Some
is done playing boggle with
organization.
his brain.
Yeah, that's
But we got some interesting. I got some interesting plans for us.
I dig it. Yeah,
So-
no, I it's just one thing after another. I want to plan it. I do. It's just it's not working out so far. But
Let's
we'll get there.
embrace that. How was your week?
Good.
Hey.
I had some interesting news come through, which was awesome that I'm not getting into yet because until it actually finalizes, we're not going there.
Sam's like a stripper on this podcast since the inception. He just likes to get you worked up a little bit and then give you nothing. He just likes to leave you simmering. And
I think that's the sweetest thing you've ever said to me.
yeah,
Mm-hmm. I'll take it.
I apologize. I did not mean to be complimentary.
No, the highlight of my week was I changed all the filters in here
Yeah,
and didn't realize how
the coffee is way different.
I didn't realize how inefficient these things had been working.
It was a decent
and it's
joke.
been so much better. Was it?
It was a decent
Really?
joke.
After mine, that gets props, and mine was terrible.
Well,
Yeah,
sometimes you get the bear. Sometimes the bear gets you.
It's not cool. Hello, Heather. Welcome to the show.
Heather.
Speaking of the bear, I know you haven't seen it, and I'm guessing you haven't seen it.
Nope.
Deadpool Wolverine.
No, definitely
Yeah.
haven't.
I've not.
Once it's out on regular media, that will be a high priority for me, though. I love those movies.
Yeah,
I may go this afternoon.
I would recommend it. Here's the thing for me. Like, I would say 7 out of 10. Like over as a movie, as a Deadpool thing, it's probably like a 9.5.
Nice.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Like for what you want out of a Deadpool movie, you get it. But for me, there were still a couple of things where I'm like, I don't know. Like in terms of the story, this is a little lazy or that was a little lazy, but it was still a decent showing.
I'll tell you what I am glad. I am glad that they did not drop the ball with Deadpool. You know how some media companies they're like, hey, we're gonna take this character, we're gonna kind of reimagine him a little bit.
You mean like they did with Deadpool?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they 100% could have done
They
and
dropped
didn't.
the ball before they picked it up.
Right. But in the fact that it was Ryan Reynolds,
Yeah.
and they did that in the X-Men movie, which was
Wolverine
X-Men
Origins.
Origins.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
X-Men Origins.
Could have
And
been such a great movie.
Deadpool he would have instantly stole the show.
Yeah.
The moment he stepped out on stage, if he would have opened his mouth, he would have instantly stole the show.
I mean, he did a good job before they like sewed him up and stuff. Like whenever the initial parts of him, he was him because he was Ryan Reynolds, who is also Wade Wilson. I mean, they are so close to the same character anyways.
Yeah, he was built for that role.
Very much so. So like early on in there, when he's talking all the smack in the elevators and stuff, like that's all him improving and actually being the character it's supposed to be before they crapped all over it. But when you say dropping the ball, Fox just keeps dropping it, and like Ryan Reynolds is like just a little Labrador retriever picking it up and following him around, going, and they pick it up and just drop it again. You know?
I think my favorite meme of it is it's Ryan Reynolds just going, "That's how you make a superhero movie to Disney." It's just like it's got some guy there, and it's well done. And then my whole feed is nothing but Robert Downey Jr. is going to play Doctor Doom now, and I'm like,
wait, what?
Yeah,
yeah.
Oh, dude, that's the only thing on my feed.
Robert Downey Jr. is Doctor Doom.
Yeah, apparently. I know nothing beyond the fact that I saw Robert Downey Jr. Avengers Doomsday.
Yeah. So he'll be Doctor Doom.
Yeah, I don't think that's what anybody wants.
But here's the thing: like,
he can't be. I'm telling you, no.
As long as they keep him masked up, he can pull it off.
I do not want to see Robert Downey Jr. play Doctor Doom. If they revive Iron Man, cool. I'm good with that. If they revive Iron Man, I'm good with that. I do not want to see him play another character. Josh Brolin got away with it because Cable and Thanos.
Not the same character.
It's not like you're looking at the same guy.
Yeah.
Right?
And that's the thing. Iron Man was the Deadpool for Robert Downey Jr. Like he was Iron Man. Like he fit it perfect.
Oh yes.
That's it. Robert Downey Jr. is Iron Man.
Mm-hmm.
He's Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron.
When he says the line, what was it? What are you? You know, billionaire playboy. Philanthropist. Like that one line is just like, yep, this is the perfect role. This is it.
Oh. And doodlies, all those happy things.
Hey, doodly dee.
So back to cigars a little bit, and mine.
That was for effect. I mean, I'm not actually upset to talk about cigars. It's just
so mine is still very, I cannot draw this thing for love nor money. I don't know what the hell's going on with it. It just will not draw for me.
So
give it a pencil.
Lop it off right above the band. Let the band be your cap. Just lop it all the way off. Use the band as your mouthpiece. Because the hard spot that I felt in that is all above the band.
Really? Okay.
Yep. Try that.
It's funny. Usually the hard spot's below the band. You know what I'm saying?
Womp, womp, womp. And then, it sucks to do it. And if it saves it, cool. No. Other side. Yep. And just ka-chunk.
Let the band be your cap. That's almost
really,
That's the name of this episode, really.
Let the band be your cap.
Because it's like ties a lot of things together. You got cigars, you got Captain America in there.
Yeah. 100% don't take that band off now.
By the way, lots of I avoided all of the media on Deadpool Wolverine. And because of that, the cameos were fantastic.
Now run that down it. And do it in like 3 spots. Sorry. So he is fighting it. You are using a draw enhancement tool. If you'd like to show the kids what that is, it's a swizzle stick.
I wanted to quote Waterboy so bad.
There are some like
Needle
really
Richard.
Oh yeah,
Needle Richard.
There's some
Trying to find a way
really tough spots in this thing that I am having a tough time getting the draw enhancer through.
Yeah. How is your Blackstone adventure coming along?
So I'm not happy about it because you sent me that one.
Yes.
I sent it to her and I'm like, this is the deal. Like it comes with 4 propane tanks, 2 completely full, 1 partial full.
And I think utensils too.
Utensils came with the cover, all that stuff. She's like, it's too far. And I was like, then we're not looking for one. She's like, what? I'm like, then we're not looking for one. We got to stop. That looks better. That looks 1,000 times better.
Oh, it's actually producing something. Get out of here.
Unlike us.
So what I did, for those at home who are listening,
Greg Perry,
Sam instructed me to cut it off right at the band because he tried to give it a little squeeze, see if he could work some of the tobacco to be a little more loose. Perhaps there was a hard piece or something big in there that was, restricting the airflow because I could not get this thing to produce smoke.
If you were ever going to make...
I was chiefing on it, too.
Yeah.
If you were ever going to make an audio soundboard to, like, just make Jason sound like he's saying terrible things, this would be the episode to sample. Because you've said a lot of words that are just far enough apart from each other that they were okay. But if you reordered them, they could be used to cause some trouble, which is ironic because usually you just put the words in the offensive order. But it could be fun.
Yeah. So Ryan had a good idea. Dissect the piece that you cut off and see if you can find what it was plugging it. Another thing, so I just got these in, and there's judging by the way mine feels too. I think they're over humidified.
They're also it's a dense cigar,
and they usually are, but they're normally a little bit more crispy. I don't know how to what the
I get you.
They normally
you don't want to pinch too hard, or you might break the belt, kind of.
Yeah, when I was massaging, trying to get the plug out of that one, I was abusing it and it wasn't cracking or anything like that. Normally they would have given in on that. So, I think they're slightly over humidified. Mine's pleasant. Mine's perfect. Yours
fantastic.
Seems to be good. I'm happy it wasn't you again. That's all. Because you had
my
had a streak.
Enthusiasm is lacking enough as it is without giving me another bad one. That's all I get out of this show is free cigars. Free cigars and too many alarms set. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of the vibe. So,
you finding anything substantial in there?
Bunch of stems.
So you got
that could help.
You got stemmed up.
I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11
in the 3/4 inch section of it.
Yeah, 11 that I can count here.
Do we want to call them stems or do we want to call them? Because there's a difference between
it's not truly a stem,
the vein.
Yeah,
is it a lot of veins?
But that's going to be in there no matter what, because the veins are the smaller offshoots. So we'll stick with stem just because people know what it means, but it's not the right terminology, guys. So
terminology. Sorry, so nothing good on the Blackstone front. That's not good.
Yeah, no,
Put a lot of effort into this.
Yeah, that's I
production.
told her I'm like I'm done. Like I give up on it. Just stop looking.
It's funny because that's how I got Shannon to like go all in on summer, because we were like talking about getting a dog for years, and I wanted one, and then I didn't, and she wanted one, and then she didn't, and we'd go back and forth. That you cut off a lot. It looks like that spread.
Well, yeah,
So,
I was getting into that before you.
So what I did with summer was I was like, that's it. We're not going back and forth on this anymore. If we don't get a dog now, we're never getting one.
We're done.
And now we have a summer.
Yeah, and summer's awesome.
That's right.
No, there is a substantial amount of not goodness in there. It's too small to show you guys, but it was. No, I never hid that fact, but that's always been just standard knowledge. So now that you can actually taste it,
what I ended up doing was Sam told me to cut the cigar right at the band. For those of you who were still following along, told me to cut the cigar off right at the band, which I did. And I mean, there's still some chunky stuff down in the end of it. If you guys at home can see those little white spots that are in there, there are quite a few of them, and that was causing me to have a
less than ideal smoking,
causing me to have a less than ideal smoking experience, and that's what was happening there. And I'm sorry, I'm distracted by the 9-year-old we have sitting across the table.
Feel better there, Frito Bandito?
I keep inhaling it into my nose.
Oh, part of the cap?
That's a long piece of cap that came off there whenever it started to unwind a little bit. So I pulled it, and I was like, I think it's really long there.
Yeah.
That's a lot of cap.
Feel good playing with something that long?
It's a nice change of pace. You know what I mean?
So
maybe feel like a big man.
Yeah. As far as it goes right now, I have really, like I told you before, I've been really enjoying like Pennsylvania broadleaf. I find that I dig it. I gravitate to it. The San Andreas for the binder, I like San Andreas tobacco, Ecuadorian, which leads me to the story that I was going to tell you earlier. So I was golfing yesterday, and
he was golfing with his friend the other day.
My best friend. I was sick Friday.
You nailed it.
So I did not bring any cigars with me because I was dehydrated. I did not do a number one all day yesterday because I sweat so much on Friday. And I drank 3 Gatorades, 2 bottles of water, and one of those little Pedialytes, and still
couldn't get over it. Yeah.
So he was smoking a cigar, and he's like, "You didn't bring any cigars?" I said, "No, I didn't bring any. I'm not feeling well today." He was like, "Well, I have one if you want one." So we got past the turn. We got to about hole 13, and I was like, you know what? I'll have one. And this right here, the Macanudo M,
which I carry,
is what he gave me.
Did he give you the bourbon?
The bourbon, yes.
Yeah.
I hated it.
Yeah. It's just too sweet.
It's not that it's too sweet. There is something in it, whether it's the Dominican tobacco, which is the filler. I've smoked Ecuadorian cigars. I don't know if it may be the Ecuadorian Connecticut Shade, which is its wrapper. There was something in it that had a very, very sharp
shade wrapper.
Would you say it was tart?
No, it was sharp and tart.
Tart and sharp are very similar, sir.
Yeah, but I'm the reason I'm using tart is that the infusion on that is a very tart infusion. It's got that almost citrus thing to it, which is the bitters. They add bitters to that cigar.
That might be it. There was something in it that I did not like, and I don't know if it's the.
That was smooth, Sam.
I don't know if it's the
almost citrus.
Oh, he's actually going to give me to taste some bitters.
You're not going to taste it. Have a thing now. So normally I do not promote the idea of hating on
not even close.
Cigar brand on the show, like actually using the word hate. But if you had to do it, that is the one to hate on. I mean, that brand is.
No,
that's not the taste.
Okay. He's like, that's not it. Yeah,
and he gave me this. Don't do that.
Oh no,
I've had worse.
I was say I use bitters often, hence the readily available stash of them over there. But no, when they add bitters to it, one thing you smoked it so that a little bit, but if it's not that, it's not that.
How about this? Here's a good example of tart right there.
Yeah, I would say because it does have a bit of a sourness to it.
There's a difference. I would say there's a big difference between tart and what I considered sharp. This was.
I'm sorry, using those two words in order. I always think it's going to be sharp, and it's I can't get around it. You're like, there's a big difference between tart and sharp.
So.
Hey, off the rails. That's what I do. Except for Harper.
Yeah, that's why we only have 100 subscribers.
Go.
So I fucking forget
The difference between tart and sharp.
Yeah. So I would consider tart something like, I would equate it with like raspberries and like sherbet and stuff like this. This was a sour, like a sour sharp, like something you were like, ugh. That's
yeah,
like,
don't,
it hits the front of the tongue and you're like, yuck.
Yeah, 100% though. Don't equate that to any of those tobaccos. Like, don't use that as an example of those. Anything that's in that cabinet, the flavored cabinet over there. Wow, my hand looked massive. It's just like
mine always looks massive.
Hey, when we're done, I want to put something else in the camera.
Just remember to get the angle from the bottom.
Yeah, I just want to see it big. But yeah, anything in that cabinet, you can't judge the tobaccos that they use as the base for it. Really on that. I mean, it's obviously it's a giant part of the flavor profile on it, but once they add those infusions to it, it's completely different. You've completely just manipulated the system, and it changes too on how they infuse. I mean, Deadwood, they coat the outside of the tobaccos. Acid, it's infused into the tobaccos using
through osmosis.
I love that movie. And then, with like the Macanudos, I don't know what their infusion process is. Java, same thing. So like, don't judge those types of tobaccos on that, because all of the tobaccos in there you've liked in other things. So there's, we've talked about the certain Corojos that I just didn't like. Now I enjoy them. It's like IPAs. I used to hate IPAs, and now bring it on, buddy. I love it. But when you're manipulating it that way, you're not actually letting the ingredients do the talking. It's like taking a bowl of syrup or a bowl of cereal and instead of adding milk to it, adding water. Like, you just changed a major component of the flavor profile of how it's designed to be consumed.
Bachelor chow.
I put orange juice in my Cheerios.
God. Hot take. Osmosis Jones, Bill Murray's best performance.
Even hotter take, Osmosis Jones, one of the weirdest songs that I've ever heard in the middle of that.
Which one?
The one that Kid Rock sings.
I don't remember that part.
It is very, very, very like, you probably shouldn't be talking about that. It's kind of like
you already dropped the
older
F-bomb.
person, younger person.
Grooming?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Hey.
Like, at one point in time, he's like, I like him 16 or something like that. And you're like, what?
Wait, one more time?
What did he just say?
Oh. Now I have to rewatch it.
Yeah. All you have to do is
Rock and R. Kelly.
All you have to do is listen to the song.
No, but now I got to rewatch the movie anyways. I want to. I like that movie. It was one of my favorites.
Bill Murray.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Times. Chris Rock was hysterical in it.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, it was great. Who did the voice of the pill? What was his name?
I cannot recall.
Fortunately, we have the
Google box.
Culmination of human knowledge right here.
So what is your thoughts on it? Like, I know it's full body, but like,
I'm for him.
You're for him? Well, it's
good, man. It's got if you want something that's just got flavor out the wazoo, man, like, this thing hits on all cylinders. And I'm not going to say it doesn't have any strength to it, like, but it's not commensurate with the flavor, right? You get so much more flavor than strength out of this, I think. And it's just bang it in your face. It's good.
Historically, that's been my experience with PA broadleaf. Like, everybody says, it's a hard kick, but for me, PA broadleaf is sweeter and more flavorful. Where, like, when I get into Ecuadorian Habano, that stuff tears me up. Like, that's strong to me. That's a lot for me to handle. And we've talked about it before. Indian food versus Mexican food. It's it's a different kind of spice, and I like the PA broadleaf for flavor profile on it, but I don't get an overwhelming strength on it. The retrohale on it's not aggressive. It's strong, it's full, but it's not over the top by any means, which I've really come to enjoy.
He is a perfect facsimile of the bad kid from Toy Story. I'm talking about Ryan Seneca just walked in the room.
Yeah.
And the kid from Phineas and Ferb right now.
I never saw Phineas and Ferb.
We pulled up pictures though, yes?
Yeah.
So like the Dorito-headed kid with the little orange haircut on top.
Okay.
But he grew up to be the bad kid from Toy Story.
Nice.
I believe we've made that joke before.
Have we?
I don't know about the and those two exactly together, but it is definitely it.
We did. I got the Room 101 12th anniversaries back in, and I forgot how much the retrohale on that was just awesome. I mean, that thing is fantastic the way the retro is on that. And I had two guys sitting here, two regulars, and we're talking about the retro on it. And the one guy's like, "Wait, what's the retro?" I'm like, "We really haven't covered this at all." He's like, "No,
it's a really old way that's coming back of smoking your cigar."
Yeah, it's the right way. If you want to know the
70s.
flavor, if you want to know what the flavor of the cigar is, you got a retro.
You want to taste some shag carpet. You know what I mean? It's all about that retro.
Oh
man.
Anytime I hear that though, like shag carpet, I think of the Jeffrey. Just petting the wall.
Stroke the furry wall.
But no, but so the one guy's like, "Oh yeah, here," and he explains to him. I walked away, and I come back, and dude's just got tears coming out, and he's all doing one of these, like, whoa. And I was like, "What happened?" He's like, "He retroed." I was like, "On this cigar? Like this is the one this is what he chose to learn on?" He's like, "Yeah, I thought it'd be funny." I was like, "That was so mean."
Yeah,
there's certain cigars to learn how to retrohale on. That was not one of them at all.
Ardbeg also not a good choice.
No, Ardbeg is definitely one of my least favorite retros. Oh.
Miss those days.
So many times.
That's one of the things I think this show is missing.
Are you not plugged in?
Good job, Air Jason.
Nope, sure isn't.
Nice.
Luckily, it's right there. Yeah. We're having surprise, a technical difficulty.
Jason's just plugging things into all the wrong places today,
or just not plugging them in.
Yeah. I like how it's just not plugged in on either end.
Yeah, it's just like, not even attempted.
Just the most useless power supply.
It's right there next to you.
I mean, it could have been way easier for you, but I guess
you got this. Yeah, he's just trying to get after it.
Not to lose everything all at once. There we go. Hey.
Turbo. That's more better.
If you hear an engine spooling up, that's my computer. I was going to say the
computer spools up.
My computer's going, I can breathe.
I can breathe again. You know what? Here's something I wanted to touch on. If you could start completely over on the build here with I'm trying to think of a number budget, $1,000 budget, and you were just trying to start off, what would it be? What would you prioritize on this board and stuff?
I mean, we would have essentially very close to what we started the show with, minus you would have no budget for a computer. So like that's what we started the show with, really, actually. So
computer aside, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that would get you some various stands, headphones, probably a setup for probably about what we had when we started. So there'd be the one of the Rode Caster podcast boards, 2 Rode pod mics. That gets you at the time, like if you were going new, that's about 8 right there. Yeah, and then a couple of stands, couple of headphones, couple of other peripherals and stuff. And that's
no cameras, none of that stuff.
No.
Okay.
No, the cameras. Just what we got in cameras is another 800 just for the 2.
Yeah.
So, and then, which is why what you do is you reach out to a local nice Russian man that owns or Ukrainian man. I'm sorry. That it used to be, you used to be able to use that as a blanket coverage, not so much anymore.
Yeah, that's not okay now.
And you say, hey, we think you have nice hair. can you give us some stuff? And then he.
So with the mics, are you happy with the mics that we have, or would you have gone a different route?
I continued to keep going with the ones that we use. I think these microphones are wonderful. Yeah, the Rode Pod mic for sure. For what we do, I think they're fantastic. That being said, it's all branded together, and the board that we use has presets on it that are tuned for these microphones. So and a couple other ones as well. So I wouldn't go through any changes in terms of
So what's
the base equipment.
I'm trying to ask questions on something I don't know anything about, and you guys both know substantially more about than I do. Microphones. I know there's 3 types or 2 types.
I mean, essentially you have 2, right? You have condenser mic. There's 2 basic ones. Like you have a condenser microphone and you have a dynamic microphone. And a condenser microphone is what they use in a recording studio to pick up everything, but that requires soundproofing. Even if we took off all of the settings that we had on here and just had let everything come through the microphone, it would be overwhelming. You would get so much background noise even with these. But these are relatively directional. A dynamic microphone is directional, and it's supposed to pick up primarily what's directly in front of it. So think of a live performance microphone on a stage versus a condenser that you get in a studio, which is going to just get everything.
Catch every bit of noise.
But again, a lot of it has to do with fine-tuning your settings as well. Jason, I'm out of he's going to sleep.
Cool
watching
questions.
me answer these questions.
I'm out of cool questions. Ask something fun.
I couldn't disagree with him more.
Okay, why?
I hate the Rode podcast. I hate the Rode board. I absolutely hate it from a production standpoint. I would go with a Behringer, probably a 5-channel.
I don't know what that means.
He's talking about but here's the thing: you're going with something specifically that's just primarily a mixer, yes, not a recording.
Oh no, it would do them both.
Okay, I don't know.
I do not absolutely do not like digital gating. I hate it. Well, first off, I don't have enough experience with it. Second off, if I need to change a gate here, because let's say we didn't spend 5.5 hours trying to fine-tune this board into a place where you didn't have to speak into the microphone like this for it to pick you up, because you can gate that microphone to where it will pick you up from here.
Yeah.
You don't have to be directly into it in order for it to pick you up.
So for your frame of reference and for the audience who probably doesn't understand what Jason's saying, we're referring to when he attempted to make changes on this board, and if you hit a certain volume, it just went freaking bananas and blew out his eardrums. That was what he was talking about. So a noise gate has a threshold where it goes, okay, I'm going to let in that's why they call it a gate. Think of it as a dam. Actually, is probably a better way to describe it. It lets in certain frequencies. The problem is you can't always let through just the stuff you want when you have so much background noise going on at the same time.
And the thing about it is, all 3 of these microphones are set to the same setting, right?
Right.
All 3 of these microphones pick each one of us up differently. And if we were to switch the microphones around in the board, it would not in the board, but if we were to switch the 3 of the microphones around in front of us, if I were to give Corey the one I have, if you were to give me the one you have, and Corey gave you his, we would each, or I would adjust each of you. Corey doesn't have to sit as close to the microphone as you do.
Okay.
Corey doesn't have to sit as close to the microphone as I do. You don't have to sit as close to your microphone as I have to sit to mine.
Okay.
Because I'm sitting here listening to it I'm 4 inches away from it, right?
He has a really big voice, so his microphone is the only one that's actually tuned different of all the channels on there. His gain is, so we're at 55, he's at 50. 55 is the maximum. His has to be down to 50 because his voice gets so much bigger when he gets excited, but he still has to pull back.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah, no, I don't understand it.
I like knobbies everywhere.
You like knobbies?
Yep, I do.
So when I was streaming 10 years ago, a friend of mine came over and helped me just like get my basic stuff set up. And he was explaining to me the history of gates. Sorry, you said that and it reminded me. Apparently, radio stations had gates and they were physical, basically fusible links. So like if there was a big crash or whatever, because everything's so amplified on its way out, the things would actually explode. Like these fuses would explode and it was a giant thing. So I'm curious the history on like gating, if it was like, okay, it's a gate because it's a fuse that drops in like a gate or something like that. Now
I think it's a gate because it's like you choose what you're letting in and letting out, right? Like think of a gate valve.
Yeah,
right?
That makes sense.
Right? Like you're physically choosing what gets to come in and what doesn't.
How much of what is being put down the pipe goes into it.
And like I get it. First of all, Jason has a better ear than either of us and most people. Like he has the ability.
Hey, thanks.
Well, you're
really
like
honestly, thanks.
The biggest thing was the shock on your face when he said it. Like what?
So like he picks up frequency different,
yeah.
Right? Like he has a more sensitive ear to that. Whereas, and the easiest way that I could say it is for anybody that's ever like tried to see the difference between 30 hertz and 60 hertz refresh rate, or 4K and 8K, and you're going like, I don't really see a difference in it's somebody that's really
attuned
to those differences that's going to pick it up, and Jason is one of those people, whereas you would think I would be, but I'm not. I just am not. I'm not a tonal person. Like I can't go like I can't sense those subtle differences.
It's funny that you say that because that's actually, I don't know if it's, a little bit of the tism or something like that, but it's something that it will actually anger me when
it's off a little bit.
I can hear it off a little bit and I'm like, that is not how that's supposed to sound. That is not how that's supposed to sound.
It's not right.
Yeah. And it angers me to the point where I'm like, screw this.
Yeah.
Which is funny because like in terms of the things you could have OCD about, like you're so reckless and free flying with everything else. Like everything else about Jason's personality is so unstructured. Right? Like he is like, you were surprised that he had everything ready to go for the live this morning because he just, he kind of just wanders and floats through.
I'm the Tasmanian devil.
But but whenever it comes to that kind of stuff, it's like it eats away at his brain and just bothers him. Makes his
absolutely
brain itch.
Does.
Yeah. With that being said, though, like I think this is what it's supposed to be. It does super well, which is it's supposed to be a super easy way in to be self-contained and do a little bit of everything for a person that doesn't have that ear and doesn't have those compulsions. Like this just makes it accessible and easy for anybody to do, and it's really good at that.
So go ahead.
The thing about it is like if that were like a Behringer board, I would probably spend less time on the podcast talking.
You'd be sitting there playing with knobs.
I'd be like, oh
yeah.
Corey's just tweaking.
Okay. If you were at the Cigar Box Festival, you would have seen it because his hands
just
were
constantly playing with it.
Yes.
No, that's cool. Now, I know one thing that bothers you is the dual boards, which we've talked about a bunch of times.
Now that it's not in his face, I don't think it matters anymore. When it was a visual obstruction, I think it was a bigger problem.
I think it's cumbersome. I think it sits there and it takes up power that's not needed.
Okay, so it's just unnecessary. It's not bad.
It's fat.
Okay.
It's not necessary until it is necessary, right? Like the reason the secondary board is on there, it's for like we have two roadcaster boards on here. And the reason is twofold. First of all, redundancy, so that if we have a failure on the main board, we could quickly make a change and keep the show going. And the other thing is, if we want to expand past 4 microphone inputs, we have that ability to go up to 8.
Sure.
And more importantly, you couldn't do that with a separate mixer, and I tried doing it with a separate mixer. The problem is, like, it wasn't like a great one, right? But without all of the built-in things that we're using, like the noise gates and the aura effects and all the other stuff that makes our voices sound so delightful to everyone but Jason. There is such a notable difference. Like, I don't know if you remember the first time that we tried to bring in an extra microphone to do five mics, and how one of them sounded so, or what two of them sounded so different than the rest.
Different world.
It just doesn't work. So using two of the same thing and piggybacking them into each other allows you to have a uniformity to all the sounds, right?
Yeah. No, and I hope you don't mind. Like, I'm curious on how it all works. And like, you know, I remember like the conversations with the Mevos and why that. So like, I don't tend towards that. But since we're asking on here,
you know, like the cameras, that's something I would do different probably.
Okay.
Because we purchased these cameras initially before we were using OBS in the way that we are to do the live stream of the video.
Oh, that's right. And it was the interface was what you wanted.
An app that's available that you could use with your phone or your tablet that kind of creates a little TV studio to where you can see everything, all of the video inputs at once, and just touch the one that you want and select it. And that app works really well for some things, but to try to do what we were doing, there was too much lag. There was too much issue with the wireless transmission, right?
It just wasn't going well.
No, well, so we switched to hardline, which is better for what we're doing.
Yeah. But you still have the ability to do that. So I mean, you know, if you wanted to pop up somewhere with just a tablet, and you know,
if you wanted to do it without without the computer, though. You know what I mean? Like you can't do the compute OBS and that at the same time.
That's where the latency issue was coming from.
Right. And what happens is then you get the live stream plus each camera ends up recording what you're doing, and you'd have to take that media, import it into an editor, and do all that stuff, which is just a royal pain. So like, if I knew that we weren't going to need that app, I would have probably looked at some other options for cameras, because we probably could have got something with a little bit higher resolution.
Yeah.
And you know, but
something a bit more substantial.
Yeah, right. I think the cameras, if we had cameras with a higher resolution, something with a better light balance, something that was not easier, but something that was more adjustable.
Right.
The light balance on these things, I don't really like it. The resolution on them is not the best. Something that I would be able to change the I don't know what they call that.
Perspective.
Yeah, the perspective, but there's a different word for it.
The cameras are very similar to the board in the sense that it's supposed to be a self-contained way to do all of these things. Like, all of these things are things that are meant to be able to be used on their own.
Sure.
To make it very accessible and easy for somebody that doesn't have experience. They have batteries in them, so you can use them wirelessly.
I'm 100% Monday morning quarterbacking this.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it was already done. Yeah,
quarterbacking this.
Without you doing that, though, there's no conversation. There's no perspective. There's just, hey, Corey, what and why, and then that would be it. It would fall. So
sure.
I'm gonna come back to
the last thing, I would change the microphones. I would do either Shores or I would do Blues. Blues, I think, have a little bit. They're a little more dynamic.
Yeah,
just a touch. Shores are like the Glock of microphones. You could dump them in the dirt, kick them across the parking lot, in a bottle of water or in a bucket of water, maybe a little concrete down in there, plug it in, it still works.
To be fair, like, these are pretty damn solid too. I mean, a lot of the reason these mics all might sound different is because there's a different quantity of cigar ash built up in each one.
At this time.
I mean, these things take some abuse. If you think of the fact that I just pile all of these into a bag.
Not only do you pile them all into a bag,
a dirty bag,
you pile them all into a bag that I used for concrete work.
Yes. And all that crap, that bag is gross.
Oh.
And like these, it still, you know what I mean? Like they've taken a beating.
That bag's got
some miles on it.
When I gave that bag to Corey, that was the bag we used for a lot of our. Oh, and there it is, right there, right here for those of you watching. That bag was used for when COVID happened. My business had to diversify, so we got into concrete a little bit. And because that's what my guys could do. They were like, oh, we know how to finish concrete, stuff like that. I was like, let's go. We got to make money.
Yeah.
So let's go make some money. And that was one of the bags that we used to tote around some of the concreting equipment and the finishing tools and stuff like that. So when I gave that bag to Corey, he was like, oh, I'm looking for a heavy duty bag that'll get this. I was like, I got you covered, buddy.
Yeah.
And I spent probably an hour like chipping concrete out of it, hitting it with the vacuum.
Just trying to get it ready.
Trying to get it at least serviceable.
So I'm gonna come back to the board and stuff because I have a couple more questions. But just a quick like mid cigar check-in. Jay, now that you can actually smoke yours.
Listen, I love the flavor of this thing. The retrohale's really nice. It's not one of those ones that catches your nostrils on fire or your sinus cavity on fire. It's got a good retro on it. The smoke for it, for me having to draw this thing with a Hoover, it's the construction, or it's still burning pretty solid. I love the taste of it, but like I told you the other day, Pennsylvania broadleaf's something I wanted to get a little deeper in,
Yeah.
Because I found that I do enjoy it. But I think this is mild to medium for me.
Flavor wise, I think it's a little beyond that. I don't know that you get an accurate representation. Like for what it is, for where you started, I think you're having a pretty positive experience.
Yeah.
To which I say, where were you whenever my cigars were crapping out? Where were all these tools and advice whenever my cigars sucked?
Novice, enthusiast. I helped the novice.
Yeah. But I would disagree on the mild to medium. This is definitely medium plus, probably closer to full on the flavor spectrum, not on a strength spectrum. Like I hate that we have to differentiate every time, but like in terms of a flavorful cigar, there are not a whole lot of cigars that have a more full mouth feel and full palate engagement than this, in my opinion. And I would be interested to see when you have another one of these what your perspective is.
So I think I understand what he meant when he said medium, which was in what you normally smoke. This was a medium.
Yeah.
Okay. But no, I agree with you. I think 100% it's full. It's full.
It's meaty.
But as far as strength goes, yeah, it's a medium plus at best.
Yeah.
Which is really enjoyable. It's not, like you said, it's not going to light you on fire. So strength wise, medium plus, definitely. But on the mouthfeel and the amount of flavor that you're getting out of this
is a fantastic sit on the porch Sunday afternoon.
Burn your hand. Nice catch, by the way.
Burn my hand cigar.
Yep, that was really good. No, and I'll definitely give you the full mouthfeel that Ryan Seneca also commented as well when I first asked
Ryan
the question.
Seneca likes a full mouthfeel.
I'm sure he does, and I'm sure you know that by personal experience. But they, some other cigars that do that without strength are like the Icarus. It has all that fire cured in it, so it gives it that overwhelming amount of flavor. Now on the Icarus, you're talking significantly less strength than this guy does. And that's the biggest thing. Like you said, it's a spectrum of strength. Like when you start getting into the medium to fulls, there's a big range within full. There's a big range within medium. There's a big range within medium plus. Like it's broken out so large that it's a lot of personal preference on that.
I think we could still. I got another name for the no name cigar that I think still embraces Eric in a way without putting his name on it. We call it the mouth hugs.
The mouth hug.
Yeah.
Mouth hugs.
But this cigar, so like for me, this is a cigar. Some of the stuff that I smoke on a daily basis, and obviously I'm going for budget friendly, right? Some of that stuff, if you're doing two things at once, you lose the cigar.
Yeah.
This is the kind of cigar that I feel like if you're multitasking, you're not going to forget you're smoking it because there's enough flavor there that it's not really going to take a back seat to other things that you're doing.
I would do something else with this cigar if it were like what do you mean doing something else?
Like for me, like if I'm working in the garage on stuff, a lot of times, and it doesn't usually go well because you end up forgetting that you set a cigar down somewhere. You end up doing relights. You're like when you're trying to go like, hey man, I don't really want to be doing this thing right now, but if I have to do it, a cigar will make it a little bit better.
Yeah.
And then the cigar gets lost in what you're doing because your focus is elsewhere. This is not the kind of cigar that's like mild enough to where you're forgetting about it while you're smoking it and doing another thing. Like if you were golfing and smoking the cigar at the same time, playing horseshoes or something, like
It's
the
still
cigars,
there.
yeah, you're going to be still very aware you're smoking.
So horseshoes, golfing, something like that, I would smoke this cigar.
Yeah.
If I was working in the garage, if I was cutting grass or something else, I would not smoke this cigar unless it were a smaller ring gauge. When I'm actively engaged in something like that, if I'm working in the garage, cutting grass, doing something around the house, something like that, I want something that's a little smaller ring
Less
gauge.
cumbersome, sure.
Petite Coronas all day long.
And something this, what is this, a 6?
6x52, I believe.
Ooh.
54. 6x54.
I mean, we
Wait,
did say
54?
it earlier.
I wasn't paying attention.
It's just a hair. Like I like a 52 Toro better than a 54.
The ring gauge.
Yeah.
Okay.
54 is like the maximum ring gauge that I'm going to be able to smoke and be like, that. Okay, this is still, it's at the top of what I prefer, but it's still acceptable.
I also agree with you. And like we talked about before, I used to think the fatter the cigar, the better.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you hand me a 54 and I'm like, that's a little chunky.
Yep. No, and it's, I feel like this is a thin 54. Like, I know that sounds dumb, but like it's a 54, but it doesn't feel as big as some of the others that are 54. It's strange to me how some of them present themselves so differently. 56 I'll go up to if your cigar is good. Like it's got to be really good. One of the ones that, and we'll put it on the rotation for the show soon, the Almafuerte Hex. That's a 660 hexagon. But everybody says that the profile on it is so much better than the Salomon or the Robustos that like guys I know that hate 60s are telling me like, you just have to do it.
Well,
You know,
I was going to buy that cigar a few weeks ago, and you told me, you're like, this is like a 3-hour smoke.
Yeah, there's some time in that one.
You need to dedicate some time to this. This isn't something you're just going to, I'll light it and fiddle around with it.
For me, this cigar is perfect for a book. Like sitting on the porch reading a book.
Yeah.
Because it's going to take my attention each time. It's going to give me something exciting, and then I'm going to go back to what I'm doing. But it's not going to pull my attention so far away where I'm like, oh, hold on, I need to worry about this. And I nerd out way too much on this.
That's a great representation, I think, of what I'm saying is that there are cigars that when you're doing different things, you take a puff of it and it's just that you're just taking the puff, you're going through the motions. But when you take a puff of this one, it reminds you that it's there. It's like, oh, okay. Like your brain is forced to go like, oh, this is a good cigar every time I take a puff off of it versus stuff that's just not so flavorful.
Doesn't have that whole works to it.
I like this company. They make good product.
Yeah, no, and it's, I mean, there's a reason Leaning House used them, right? Like they, that's actually always been one of the funny things to me is to me, the lightest of the Leaning House cigars isn't the Connecticut. It's definitely not the Habano. That thing is, that can be mean, especially that double Ajero. That thing gets rude. But it's their Connecticut broadleaf. It's a very sweet experience compared to something like PA broadleaf or Nicaraguan tobaccos. Yeah. And it's been,
which means it's probably gone through real fermentation,
actual time, actual work done to it, stuff like that, where, one of your former favorites is definitely not real fermentation. It's just, it's been sped up so that it would be darker and give that appeal faster. And they lost what made that cigar great because of it.
That's where like people have developed the sense of a dark cigar is a strong cigar is because people started skimping on that process. And that's where that mentality shifted.
I'm gonna start wearing a "Make the Scorpion Great Again" hat.
No, there's and that's a fun subject in itself. Like the Maduro, the reason that they aged the cigar was so that they had tobaccos that were too strong to use, they would age them and Maduro them, so that they could actually become accessible. So they would have a wider range of tobaccos that they could use. And then as they did it, you have this super strong tobacco that's not consumable, and you've aged it down into that range of like, all right, this is actually something that we can put out there. But it started off super strong, and they brought it down to the beginning of the tolerance level. And then because that happened, now people's tolerance level has increased overall. So, and it's the way that it has worked itself out has just been, it's caused a lot of confusion, as dark is bold. And it's like, no. Dark, San Andreas is not necessarily a strong tobacco. San Andreas is a sweet, chocolatey experience. It's that cocoa. It's all that jazz, Cacao.
Let me hear your pigeons run your mouth now.
Run your mouth now.
We can't finish that song.
Nope.
Jason would. He has no qualms about the rating of this. It really kind of makes me feel like, man, what, and we're still always like following the explicit content and stuff. Anyways, it's like, what are we doing this for? Jason's gonna blow it up anyway.
Well, I mean,
it was so out of hand. That was the point of it. It was to bring it into a reasonable, explicit range.
Yeah, it was a very oil field show.
Yeah, we were bad. We were terrible.
So what you got going on today, event wise?
Yeah,
I feel like
Liberty
there's
Pool
something
today.
happening.
Yeah, Liberty Pool with Luciano, and and I brought in the whole Tiago line, which I haven't even smoked through all of them yet, but every one of them has been incredibly pleasant. It's been a great experience with all those, so I'm excited because I'm going to smoke the Tiagos all day and finish smoking the line and actually see, like, I haven't done their San Andreas yet. That's one of the ones I'm excited for, but I've kind of been waiting to smoke that one, especially, we've talked about it 1,000 times, but the experience of what you're doing with the cigar makes the cigar. So like the San Andreas, I have expectations for, and I'm going to give it its best chance because I have so much fun at Liberty Pool. I enjoy the cigars that I smoke there more than the cigars that I smoke just on a daily basis because I'm having fun, because I'm with good people, because the energy's up in the room. So it helps to add to that a lot. And, I'm really excited to try a new cigar at Liberty Pool.
Heck yeah.
You know what I mean? And again, we've touched on it a bunch of times, but who you smoke it with can make it way better. I've had some really crappy cigars that were great because I was with good people having a good time. So I've got that one going on, and yeah, that's it for actually a couple. Oh no, I got karaoke on Tuesday. Are either of you guys freed up this week?
You always pick the day I can.
It's the same every month.
Guess what? Yeah. I have a vacation day in on Tuesday.
Yes. Yeah, I have
got one of you.
I'm 3 to 11 this week, so.
Oh.
Yeah,
I hate that shift
I
so much.
I rotate, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I just hate 3 to 11s. And I knew a lot of guys that they love it. They're like, I get a lot done before work. And I'm like, I don't get anything done before work because I have to have that hour or 2 hours when I get home. And that hour to 2 hours of calming my brain down when I get home, that never just stays 1 to 2 hours. Like it always drifts. And that's just bad self-discipline on my part. But
sure. But, and I mean, I find myself in the same situation because I'll come home from a 3 to 11 shift and it's, I get home 11:30, 12:30 comes around. I'm into my own rhythm now. I'm like, I'm here, I'm relaxed.
Yep.
1:30 comes around, 2:30 comes around. I'm like,
I really need to go to bed.
I should probably get to bed. 3:30 comes around, and I'm like,
why did I do this again?
Fine, I guess I'll go. And then I sleep till noon.
Yep. Yeah, that's the thing. You got the time. It's like I am a night person. However, the problem that I experience is I have a small home. So when I come home from that 3 to 11, it really limits what I can do.
Yeah.
And in terms of like the noise I'm making and stuff, so usually I just go straight to bed and I get up and try to be productive in the morning. But like if I lived alone, I'd definitely sleep until I had to go to work for the 3 to 11. Then I'd come home and feel great. But that changes a little different for me. But what's up, John? I've got so Strum Junkie calendar.
Yeah.
And I say Strum Junkie, not Strum Junkies.
I saw that.
Yeah. So there's going to be no Nick for a few. So I've got a couple solo gigs coming up. The first one's going to be with our good buddies. They got a pool party rocking, and I'm going to be playing there. And that'll end up being good because turns out I've got a show August 11th that Nick forgot that he has plans to leave the state.
Oh.
And I'm like, we just only booked this show in January. So, like, thanks for letting me know that like 3 weeks beforehand.
Yeah.
So we worked it out. I'm doing it solo to be my first public solo gig.
That's what I was going to ask you. I didn't think you'd done one before.
No, I haven't. So hopefully it goes well. But it'll be Sunday, August 11th. That show will be 4 to 7 at Armstrong Park in Baldwin.
I love that park.
I haven't been there before.
We've been there for a ton of birthday parties and stuff like that. It's a really nice park.
Cool.
It's laid out really well. And the acoustics for you are going to be beautiful because it's in a valley. So, like, you're going to have, like, when you get there, you'll see, but, like, turn towards the hill because I've seen live shows there before. Turn all your speakers towards the hill, even if that's not the people, and it just gives you a beautiful, like, resonance.
So, the other cool thing about it is, so this is like the Baldwin Concerts in the Park series. So I don't know if they're doing this every week or not. I've seen some pictures. But they've got Cold Friend's Kitchen coming out with their food truck, which, man, that food looks ridiculously good. Vellum Fermentation, local beer company from the South Side, I believe, is going to be out there. And then Beedles, Beedles ice cream truck. So, like, got a couple of cool little vendors there. We've got until 10:30, I think. Right. So,
and we can drift just a little
90 minutes. So, yeah, if you guys want to come out and support me or throw stuff at me, either way is cool.
Two things can be true.
Yeah.
I say we all get those pull squish balls. We just fill up like the horse buckets with water.
No. Can we not do that? The equipment's expensive.
Don't hit the equipment, guys.
Yeah. I mean, as long as you have super accurate aim, that's fine. I'll wear a white shirt. It'll be fine.
Okay, see, now all of a sudden, never mind. See, that he knew how to avoid it. Yeah.
That's how you use your noggin right there.
That's thinking with your dipstick, Jimmy.
That's how you turn it around.
What was that?
You've never heard that?
No.
It was a commercial that was on the radio for some like oil change place, and they had like a Scottish guy in the background, and he was like, I'm gonna go to so-and-so's auto to get my oil changed. And the guy's like, that's thinking with your dipstick, Jimmy.
Yikes.
That's
Why don't you make like a leaf and get the fat here?
It's make like a tree.
That's what it makes me think of. So what are your other board or equipment questions?
Oh yeah. So
you want to do come back?
I did have more.
It's all coming back to me.
So as far as the PC goes, so that's your hub for all of it. What's your focus on that? Is it graphics power? Is it just raw CPU? Is it RAM? Like what's the one over the top thing you need to focus on to get a good experience for that?
Your processor.
Okay, so just core CPU.
Buy an AMD. Buy an Intel.
Really?
Yes.
I hear so many people go the other way.
Buy an Intel. Don't buy an AMD.
Huh.
If you are going to be doing video processing, audio processing, things like that, you need the cores and the threads, and that's more Intel, where AMD is like a Ferrari, right? So AMD is your Ferrari. Intel is your Mack truck.
Right.
They both have power in their own right, but it's what that power is for. Okay.
Yeah.
Also, a lot of onboard RAM, and the more you can integrate stuff onto your computer, anything you can have on board. Like I would suggest a small onboard solid state drive to run your operating system.
Yeah, M.2, yeah.
Boom, period. That's the only thing that thing does. It runs your operating system. Then you have another solid state that's where all your buffering goes through and stuff like that, because so it's not, your computer's not trying to confuse itself.
So what can I try to interpret what you're saying and say that you would essentially want an Intel drive for multitasking and not a drive, an Intel chip, and like a AMD Ryzen chip for doing one thing really well?
That's correct.
Okay. Because like you're talking about higher gigahertz, like so That's the thing with like DAWs when you're doing recording, which is a digital audio workstation. Things like Pro Tools, Studio One, Ableton, or things like if you're doing high intensity work on one thing and you want to have the buffer as low as possible so you don't have a delay going back and forth between the system and the live intake, you want higher speed. So it's more important that you have higher natural gigahertz speed on your processor. Whereas if you're doing things, multiple tasks, you care more about the number of cores and the number of threads so that processor can multitask and do more things more efficiently.
So that side of things, I understand.
Sure.
Computer side of things. So I'm going to agree with you, but I'm going to disagree on one point. If you're building a mid-range, do an AMD. If you're building a top end, you build an Intel.
You can get a good mid-range Intel.
But I'm saying
it's going to do it.
Yeah, I'm saying, but from what I've experienced and price-wise, like as far as bang for your buck goes, when you're getting into the mid-range, AMD offers more specialization. So if I'm looking for a high core count or a high thread count, I can get more out of an AMD than I'm an Intel fanboy. First off,
sure.
My top
and
end
I'm
PC.
an AMD. I'm an AMD die hard.
Yeah. See, I've always been an Intel guy.
I also understand that if you really want to do it, you're getting an Apple.
Yeah. And Apple does it, via software. They're not, hardware wise, it's the same. That's the thing I love that people get into, and they're like, oh, the Apple's, it uses better equipment. No, it doesn't.
No, the equipment
100% doesn't. It is just they have constructed an ecosystem that it lives in, and you cannot adulterate it, and you can't screw it up.
It's clean. It's so clean that that's what it's built for. There's no screwing around. You're not playing Fortnite on your Mac.
If you're just working, Mac is the way to go.
If for a workstation, that's it.
But again, one exception to that is if you're a single man operation and you fully understand it and you know how to keep your workstation operating properly, then you build the top end Intel. You build a PC, not a Mac, and that only works because you have 100% control.
Sure,
as soon as you're trying,
hub and you're fine.
As soon as you're trying to get an employee to actually be able to work on it, or somebody to help you with it, and they might not know the order to click things to get it to actually operate properly, that's where Mac is like, yes, let's go. So for simplicity, 100% Mac.
This is like,
and I despise Mac.
Scares me about when Jason has control of the computer, because it's like, no, I keep this browsing history clean on this PC because it is dedicated for the purpose we use it. So whenever he gets that scary look on his face where he's like, he's gonna go Googling and pulling crap up.
Yep.
I'm like, please don't mess with like my accounts and stuff.
Yeah. So
close the refrigerator.
I love that you spelled it wrong. So no, but so like I built in 2014, I built a gaming PC, i7 5820K, just the cat's ass as far as chipsets went at the time. I've gone through 3 graphics card iterations, and when I finally switched to a 3000 series GPU, the CPU is finally the bottleneck. I mean, I went from 980 Ti to the 2070 Ti to, I think it's a 3060. I just needed a card real quick.
Yeah.
The 3060. When I did that 3060, it finally bottlenecked. The CPU became the problem. Everything else, and in my case, it was the RAM was actually the issue because it was first gen DDR4. But
from 2019, I built mine in 2019. I bought a Ryzen 9 12 core. It didn't last 6 months.
They have massive heat dissipation issues.
Didn't last 6 months. Now I have a Ryzen 9 9 core, which has been fine for me for a while. I bought a 2080 Ti, and that thing has been it's worked for me since. Yeah. I kind of want to upgrade, but for no other reason other than I want to upgrade it.
Yeah. My son now wants a gaming PC. And
you want to buy one? I'll sell you one. So I could build a new one.
Well, and that's what I told her. I'm like, I'm kind of excited to do this, but there's certain games my computer won't play anymore because I'm still on Windows 8.1 on that computer. Because it never, like when Windows 10 came out, they had all the problems originally. So I skipped that one. And then they went to Windows 11. And now there's just no updates for it. And it's
they're not giving you a choice now. I had to update to Windows 11 yesterday because it's like, I'm not starting until you update me. I'm like, what? No.
Yeah. And it's one of those, but like for him, we're going to do an AMD chipset. I'm going to pull the old 10, my brain again just decided to stop. I'm going to
2060.
I'm going to pull the 20. No, I'm going to pull because the old GPU that I had didn't completely die. It just lost a fan. So I'm probably just going to run it for him, and he's never going to do it. You know what I mean? It's not going to be a problem. So
welcome to Nerd Talk.
Yeah, we'll pull that out, slam that in there. I need a motherboard.
You just got to be careful that you don't have any experiences where you come down and go, what are you doing on there?
Yeah, that's that.
Anyhow,
you got a few years.
Final thoughts.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go first. So I put mine down because I actually have something to say. That's why I jumped in.
Yeah,
I put mine down because now that we are down at the end past the band, the strength is picking up, and I don't eat anything on the way over here or anything like that. So the other option you could have if you don't have food available to you is you could slow down on how aggressively you're hitting on the cigar. So the strength is picking up. Yep. But flavor's still there, but it's getting the strength too, and it's starting to mess with the old empty stomach. So, but it's still great. Like, I recognize that early enough, put it down, let it slow down. If you do that, you can continue to have a good experience without having to, go like, hey, I need something in my belly or something.
Yeah, something we'll talk about another time, but caffeine definitely exacerbates that issue too. So like the more caffeine you have on a lower belly, the more you're going to get that nick fit that you're talking about. Overall though, mine smoked perfect. It was exactly the right cigar for what we're doing, because even we were talking about situational. This was the right cigar for a podcast because every time I'd hit it, it would get my attention back. But when I wasn't hitting it, we were paying attention to what we were doing. So I really enjoyed it. It's spot on. This thing's always 10 for 10 for me. You? And he's trying.
After it got fixed, it's been a great experience. It's kind of fallen apart a little bit, but that's only because I had to cut it below the band.
Yeah.
So she's looking a little rough, but she's still smoking. Definitely very powerful. Down towards the end of it.
Yeah, it's definitely got a nice zap to it.
It I don't want to say it turned me off to it in the beginning because it was so hard to draw, but it was definitely that I felt the scorpion again.
Yeah.
There.
I feel like the next time you have one of these, it's going to be way better.
You're gonna get
a whole different perspective on it.
I absolutely believe that this 412 will be one of my go-tos now. When I'm like, hey, I want something that's got a nice punch. It's a great smoke, a little bit on the bigger side. This is what I'm going for.
Yeah. No, spot on. I absolutely love this stick. I went through a good bit of work to be able to get this this time. It wasn't as easy as just call an order. I actually had to run around to find these because it's something that I didn't have in stock for a while and hasn't been available. So I went through a lot of BS to get a hold of these for a reason. I don't normally chase down a cigar that's hard to get a hold of. This one was one that I did for a reason.
Heck yeah.
So
9:00 start next week. 9:30 next week, I think.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't have anything. I don't think you have anything, right?
Yeah, I meant to say 9:30. I was pretty certain that we had a normal start. So you guys can come hang out with us every Sunday morning, typically at 9:30.
Yeah.
Where we do the show on the group where you can hang out, interject, get your comments in there. Next week, we will be smoking the LFD Lennox Petite Corona,
which I know is one of your go-tos.
It's a great cigar. Yeah. Say your thing.
Salud.
Hey.